I was gonna start talking already, but she already had me laughing, so it is what it is. But all right, so Jason and Lauren, say hi.
Hi.
Anyway, so we wanted to just come live just for like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, maybe somewhere around there.
7.
Just to 7 minutes, 7 minutes. Lauren says 7 minutes on the nose. Exactly. So we're going to cut this live feed at exactly 7 minutes. Um, so, anyways, we just wanted to kind of talk a little bit. I know we had created a video of the mission trip, and we we shared that in church and we shared that on our page, but it doesn't tell the whole story in terms of like what happened, what kind of impact was made, so on and so forth. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to spend like 10 minutes doing that. But before we get to that, I want to make sure, obviously on Sunday we thanked the Hope Community Church, members, people who go there that donated, and just showed out with love, right? So we already said that, but there's others that need to be mentioned as well. First and foremost, props to Ryan Hannon. Thank you so much once again for opening yourself up and your time. You're a very busy man, and I appreciate the connection that Living Proof Project has with you and that we're developing for the Traverse City area. So that's pretty awesome. So Ryan, obviously, is it Norfolk? Norfolk?
Norfolk.
No, Norfolk.
Dental.
Yeah, Norfolk Dental in Imlay City. Sorry if we butchered your name. Thank you so much for all the dental products. That's obviously needed, and that was an amazing blessing as well. And of course, Walmart here in Sandusky. Thank you to the management team there for helping out with donations. Who am I leaving out? Am I leaving anybody out? I don't think so. Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Personal donors.
Yeah, personal donors out there that donated, and I know my father-in-law and mother-in-law, Lauren's parents, Dr. Bruce and Dee Sherman, they donated to this, so that's amazing as well. I'm enjoying my coffee. Sorry, at 6:30 at night. Okay, so besides that, I guess I'll just kind of dive in. So yeah, we got to Traverse City on Friday at around 11 o'clock. Things were good. We met with Ryan. Obviously, all the encampments from the previous year had moved, so we needed to. Ryan gave us a tour of the area and what new encampments had come in, and so on and so forth. Um, and then, well, there was the machete guy that I shared.
Jerome.
Yeah. How about you share your side of that story? So we walked in the woods. Go ahead, Lauren.
Okay, so we were walking into the encampment. We were walking from, what is the park side?
Yeah, 11th Street there.
Okay,
Yeah,
so from 11th Street, because there's a couple different ways to enter the encampment, but we were walking from the park side. We walked in, it was Jason, myself, Will, and Chris. And as we walked through the woods, we noticed that there was a quite large encampment. There was quite a few tents gathered in a section off to the right, and so we started to walk with the backpacks, and a gentleman started like coming towards us, and he was saying a few things. I'm not really sure what it was, but he had this 1.5 foot long machete that he was swinging around with a little bit of aggression, and Jason pushed me kind of behind him, and then and Will kind of stepped back because he's a little guy, and Chris and Jason kind of continued to walk forward, and Jason was like, "Hey man, we're here. We got some blessing bags for you," and he's saying some stuff, and I don't remember exactly what he said, but all I could see was that big machete flinging around in the air, and he said something and threw it at Jason's feet. It was like really close. And
it was uncomfortably close. I almost didn't know exactly what to do. There was a pause where at the very beginning of this mission trip, we were like, okay, maybe not. And we I mean, it was a very split second decision where we had to just decide: do we move forward? Do we walk past this guy, and does he trail us from behind? Which probably not a very good idea. Being a veteran, I know you don't want some guy with a foot and a half long machete on your backside. Um, so I would say that, the thing about this mission trip is that we were operating in the overflow.
Yeah.
We were really operating in the overflow. And there was a moment, and what makes this machete story so funny, but serious, is there was a moment where I know that for myself, and I think Lauren has said this, that there was a peace that came over us. There wasn't a fear. There was a peace in the moment. And as the weekend developed, I mean, let's face the facts. I mean, Jerome has got some very serious mental health issues. Um, I border on the side of some demonic control, from what we saw, just in terms of the way he acted at times, and would just completely lose character and everything. So,
but he actually turned out to be pretty loving.
He did.
He was very loving and has a really nice, warm heart, and there was just something different about him. He wasn't the typical, like, I mean, if I can use, worldly terms, he wasn't a quack. He wasn't nuts. He didn't seem sketchy. I mean, a little bit at first, but he really just, there's something about him, almost to the point where I felt like he ministered to me more than I did him.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd say by the end of the weekend, I was the relationship. Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Yeah. He had something about him that was different, and different's not always bad. It's sometimes it's a real good thing to be different, and he didn't let his indifferences cloud who he was. He was still him, and he wasn't there for it wasn't a show. He wasn't putting on a show. It wasn't an act. He really thought in the beginning that we were coming in 4 deep.
Yep.
And he was threatened and frightened by us. And
yep.
I don't appear to be very scary, and I don't think we were very scary looking with backpacks and sleeping bags and treats. I mean, that he genuinely thought that we were a threat, and he needed to protect what was his, and what was his home, and his family. I mean, his family is the other people that lived there. Were his family, and he was their protector. He was like the overseer of the encampment, is what we kind of found out after.
He worked security.
Yeah.
I mean, he worked security. He was border security. I mean, he had the foot and a half. He had the foot and a half long machete. He had a shoestring around his neck with 2 solid locks on it. They like you could swing. I mean, that thing connects with somebody, you're gone, right? Yeah. So and baseball bat. He had a metal baseball bat. So I mean, he was definitely his security.
His swamp kickers.
Yeah,
which
swamp
were his
kickers.
Shoes.
Yeah.
His shoes, and he said his shoelaces were shot off with guns or whatever. But
after we got past Jerome, I don't know. We visited. The first thing that we hit was we had to hit a gentleman that we had ministered to last year, that is still out there homeless, and he's a veteran. And his name is Will. Yep. And so we Living Proof Project, and Chris had made a promise, because Chris had spent most of the time ministering to this gentleman last year, and so. He had made a promise to this gentleman that when we came back to Traverse City, that he would bring back a guitar. And that meant a lot to this guy. So what's impactful, I think, about the Will story is Ryan had gone up to his tent, and he was still in his tent. And Ryan had said, "Hey, Will, there's some people here to see you. They're the people that were from that church from a few hours away last year." And as soon as Ryan said that, from inside the tent came the words, "You talking about those people who promised me a guitar?" Now, it's been a year, okay? And this guy in that year did not forget about the guitar. Obviously. I mean, it was on the forefront of his mind. It came right to him instantly. And that's huge in this kind of ministry, to be able to fulfill a promise that you make to somebody. Because when promises are not kept in situations like this, when you're in survival mode out there in the homeless world and somebody promises you something and it's not kept, that way of thinking, it's just really hard to overcome. It's just really hard. So that was the Will moment was special. It's always been special to me because he's a vet and he's got a special story, um, like many of us do. Um, I'd say after Will, we just kind of went around and hit several encampments. I know, Lauren, if you want to, Rachel.
Yeah. Rachel and Drew, they lived on the river. There's like a small little creek that ran through the center of the wooded area. If you watched our video, you can see the two tunnels of where you enter into the encampment from both sides. It's really quite beautiful where they live, and minus all the trash and garbage around that hopefully the city is able to take care of, but they don't have the means to throw things away like we do in the trash and then put it out to the road and then someone comes with a truck and picks it up. They can't just take their trash and to the Walmart parking lot or to the Rite Aid or to the party store down the way and throw their garbage into their dumpsters because they can't. It's against the law, because what is it? There's a law. I don't know what it's called, but there is. You can't. You can't just throw your trash in somebody else's trash and it'd be okay. But Rachel and Drew.
Well, I think I get what you're trying to say before you get into Rachel and Drew, but the reality, what I think what Lauren was trying to say is, homeless encampments, they're not houses. It's not meant for human habitation, right? These people are in survival mode. They're living the best they can. There will never be a homeless encampment that is clean, in terms of clean like a home. That doesn't exist, because of that. So anyways, Rachel and Drew.
Oh, you go ahead.
I cut you off. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I have to get this fuzzy. This attached to your glasses drive me nuts. I can't even.
Did you get it?
Yeah, I got it. Sorry.
Okay.
Aaron Rowling taught me well. I had to get it. It was driving me nuts.
You want to check my shoe?
No.
I'm actually wearing my Mickey Mouse pajamas right now, so I just told on myself, but whatever. She got them for me. They're actually really comfortable. Anyways, moving past that, Rachel and Drew. So, for me, I mean, Rachel's more on her side, but for me, Drew was just, I don't know. He was special. He had a very mechanical construction style mind about himself, and he had built a rather interesting encampment. I mean,
yeah,
it was one of the more sophisticated encampments around.
He used a hunting chamois. Is that what it's called?
An ice fishing tent
thing, and he turned it into an outhouse, and he put his toilet and everything in there.
So it's warm.
It's warm and kept away from where their clothes and where they cook their food. It really simulated a small little home that he had made, and he constructed it really well. Like, I think he's really intelligent, based on the structure of it, where he had tarps like hanging on the outside to block the wind, and easy access to the water, where
he was right on the creek.
So Rachel is 80% blind. She had a bad accident, so the way he has it designed, he almost designed it for her, to be able to maneuver around in there safely without falling or hurting herself, because she doesn't see very well, especially at night. So she needs to be able to maneuver around the best she can, and safely. He really, I don't know,
He's lost.
yeah, he's lost. He's 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 an odd fella. At first, my first impression that he was on some kind of medication, maybe addicted to some substance abuse whatsoever. But he's been sober a year and a half, and when he spoke of it, he really had that healing from. I mean, it's been long enough, and I mean, I abused substances for quite some time, and I know the steps that you go through, and he's past that. So I believe him. I genuinely believe him, and he wants the same thing for Rachel, and then is Bunny, is that Bunny? She she's the
Bunny
one that
kind of,
lost her encampment.
yeah, hers burned up, I think, right? Or no, they took it. Somebody took it.
Yeah, someone took her tent,
Yeah.
all her belongings and everything she had, and when she came back to the encampment, I don't know if she was gone for something.
I'm not sure. She was gone. She was gone for a couple of days. She came back and everything was
She
gone.
came back on the day that we were leaving, and we still had a few items left over that we were just going to take and give it to one of the gentlemen, and he can distribute it because they're very giving amongst one another. You know, if one person has and the other one doesn't have, they share amongst each other. Nobody's hoarding or greedy, and that keeps them safe. You know, not they don't steal from one another. You know, they really do share. It's like a small community. It's
Yeah, everybody knows Jerome runs security. Like
I wouldn't try to steal anything from that guy.
Yeah,
He's
I mean, everybody knows Jerome runs security, and I gotta say, Jerome does a good job with security. I mean, you don't get into the woods without him seeing you, and if he sees you, he's definitely going to challenge you and wonder why you're there. Word of advice: don't go into those woods 4 deep, because you might get a machete. But so I mean, yeah, Rachel and Drew. And I want to say this too with Rachel and Drew and a few others. Um,
they don't want to be there.
Yeah, they don't want to be there, but it's important because I know there's a lot of questions that surround the difference between sheltered homelessness and unsheltered. And I really wanted to hit on this in this call because I know a lot of people just think automatically, well, if there's a shelter available, then why don't they go? Right. And the reality is a congregate setting, a place where there's a lot of people, just does not work for everybody. It doesn't. And I would
and it
say,
doesn't work long term.
And it doesn't work long term.
It's a temporary place to rest your head for a few days, get a shower, a hot meal, and that's it.
Yeah. And so for Rachel, shelter life doesn't work. She's 80% blind. She is vulnerable in the sense that she's pretty, cleaned up. She would be a very, very decent looking woman. And she has some beauty about herself, and I mean that objectively. And I know that 80% blind and unfamiliar in a shelter that's got a lot of people in a rough area of town, it just puts somebody like Rachel in a more vulnerable position. And Drew can be a better caretaker for Rachel out in the middle of the woods, as opposed to in town in a rough area right by the shelter, where there's going to be moments where Drew has to be completely separate from her.
Yeah.
So
she, I can't imagine what she's going through not being able to see. Once being able to see and then knowing that eventually she will be completely blind. Without Drew, she really leans on him for a lot. She does. I don't think that it would be healthy for her to be separated from him. So going into a shelter, they would be separated. All right, I get it. It's like
yeah, Rachel really
she needs him.
Yeah,
at least right now. I'm not speaking, later, but
yeah.
She needs him now. and I think it's for her health. Um, you can't take the last bit of what she has, you know. I mean, there. It's rock bottom for all of these individuals, and I really enjoyed when you gave them the bag. Like when we gave them the bag,
Yeah.
And it was not just a backpack. It was better than watching your kids open Christmas presents in the morning on Christmas Day. It was better than that. It was.
They were really, really excited to get these blessing bags.
Yeah.
You would think most people, man, I mean, you think to yourself, you're like, okay, what's a set of long johns and some winter gloves and a few pairs of socks? But I mean, guys, there were a few of them that when we came into the various encampments, I can remember a few of them grabbing hold of the backpack and actually like hugging it, like holding it against themselves. The backpack, almost as if they needed their brain to register that somebody just gave them a gift.
That somebody cared.
Somebody cared.
Somebody met them where they were at. Somebody came out, that they haven't been forgotten, that people care about them.
Yep.
They get called trash. They get called worthless, and they feel forgotten and abandoned and unwanted. And for someone to bring them something so simple as something we take advantage of or take for granted, baby wipes.
Yeah, baby wipes.
Baby wipes, toothbrush and toothpaste, a bottled water,
or the next
snacks.
The next morning when we brought donuts.
Yeah.
That was just a spur of the moment thing, but we were like, hey, why not, right? I mean, they're like $5.97 for a dozen of them, so we did it. And they were like, even after we had given out the blessing bags and came back for day two, just to kind of, because day two was more of just kind of hanging out for a little while and getting to hear their stories and just having them be able to communicate and conversate back with people and have an open discussion. So, and a lot of that you don't get on film. So that's why things are the way they are, because we're not there to do a documentary. We're there to minister. We're there to show the love of Jesus Christ. And so we don't, in moments like that, we just don't have our phones out. It's disrespectful, because that's their home. So it, it was a really, really special weekend.
There's a lot we can actually share.
We're already running really long.
23 minutes.
Yeah,
I agreed to 7. That's only because this is my first time ever doing anything of the sort on the camera.
But she's doing good, guys, right? She actually was like, she was so nervous. She was actually driving me crazy. Like I mean, honestly, like the last 10 minutes.
I think we switched seats a couple times.
Yeah, and
like,
a few lights, and the lighting didn't jive with her, and then the coffee mug. The coffee mug doesn't match her shirt.
It needed to match my shirt. So the burgundy.
Yeah. So, anyways,
thanks, Mom.
Yeah. But I love her. I really do. I love her to death. So I'm willing to do all that to make it right. So I'm glad she's comfortable and she opened up. But anything in closing that you want to say, just overall the weekend, how it impacted you?
Well, were there how many individuals did we
probably encountered about 35. A few, obviously there was a few that
were not in the actual encampment.
Yep.
We met with a gal and a gentleman that we spotted in the Walmart parking lot charging their cell phones on an outside outlet at one of the stores that was closed after hours, and they were sitting on a bench charging their cell phones. They actually said that they lived. Because I asked them, I said, "Oh, where do you live?" And they said that they were homeless and they were living in a bush behind the Home Depot. And I said, "Jason, we have to go. We have to go find them. We have to find them. We have to make sure that they have shelter of some kind. And if they don't, we're going to figure it out." I said, "I'm not leaving Traverse City without knowing that they're okay." and we were able to give them bags and each got a backpack and some extra snacks that we had. She actually had a small little puppy, a little Chihuahua, a mother Chihuahua that had just given birth a few weeks ago. So she had a shopping cart, a Walmart little shopping cart with a blanket wadded up in it, and the dog and all the little puppies were in it. And she's, instead of feeding herself, she's feeding this mother dog.
That shows their heart. And it shows that these people are still connected to their emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
That there's something still there. There's hope. That's why you never give up on somebody, because moments like that, when you see it in the moment, you realize that there's still hope there. That there's still, I mean, even if it's a shred, even if it's hanging on by dear life, there's still hope there.
It's their story. You
Yeah.
don't know their story.
You don't.
You can't just judge a book by its cover. I mean, there's a whole story behind it. And like I said, they don't choose to live this way. They've accepted that this is temporary, and that this isn't going to be their life forever. And it's already bad. It couldn't get worse, could it? And so they have hope that it'll get better, and that the next day, maybe the sun will be shining and it'll be a little warmer. And when winter's over, then spring and summer come, and they don't have to worry about the cold. They have to worry about other things. And so, I mean, I just, so many things from this weekend impacted me. Um, I really changed. I mean, I was homeless for 6 months and living in a tent behind Walmart in Lapeer.
We understand them.
I know what they're feeling because I actually walked in their shoes, and it would have been nice to receive a backpack. So if that's what I can offer to somebody, just to show them that they're loved and cared for, I really would like to go back. We would like to go back. And
there's 8,642 homeless people in the state of Michigan. Living Proof Project needs to get a backpack to every one of them.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
So we need your guys' help, your prayers, and we need God. We need Him to make things like this possible. We went on this trip really with a half broke car, a tiny bit of money in our pocket, a tank full of gas, and a bunch of backpacks, and a whole lot of love, and in the support of our friends and family, and the Holy Spirit. I mean,
definitely the Holy Spirit.
Wouldn't have been possible without.
I already told you this, but I told Aaron rolling after church one Sunday, and it was actually her who brought up the overflow thing, because I had mentioned to her that this year seemed, before we'd even gone on the mission trip, right? This is like a week before, and I was talking to somebody else. I forget who. I want to say it was probably Tim or somebody, but I was talking and I was sharing with him how last year seemed a little bit more mechanical, but this year it just seemed like things were just coming so much easier, and like it was meant to go that way and happen. And that's when Erin popped her head around the corner and said, "That's the overflow." And I, and she's right, that it's the overflow. And we operated in the overflow that weekend. And I'm with Lauren on this. I want to go back. I mean, there's so many hurting. The truth is that it's getting worse. It is. If you look up the articles, I encourage you guys, type in homelessness Michigan into Google. Look up the news articles. Spend a little bit of time looking up the news articles.
There's so many shelters being closed.
Shelters
Why are
being
they
closed
closing the shelters
because
right
of
before
funding.
winter?
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah, guys, and that's true. I mean, there's just this year alone, 5 shelters in the state of Michigan, emergency overnight shelters, have closed because of lack of funding. Um, there's serious issues that are coming up, and they're going to be knocking at everybody's doorstep at some point. Lauren and I are both burdened from the Holy Spirit to be on the front lines of this. Um, I myself, like Lauren, spent some time living in abandoned houses in Detroit, and I thought everything was done. I thought I was done. I wanted to be done. I was tired of living, really, because how does somebody get to an abandoned house in Detroit? So, or to a tent behind the Walmart in Lapeer. So it happens, right?
But God meets you where you're at.
And He does.
He does.
Yes.
He meets you where you're at, no matter where you're at. Where you think you've been forgotten or in the middle of nowhere where you don't even see people around. You're not alone.
You're not alone.
Nope.
There's somebody always out there praying for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, great weekend. I'm glad I see several of you guys stayed with us the whole time, so I appreciate it.
Cut it off
We're gonna cut it off at 31 minutes. I mean, we probably could talk. Both of us together can talk for another 30 minutes. So I appreciate everybody joining in. If anybody has questions, comment, and we'll answer them. Lauren or I, if you have a comment for Lauren, address Lauren in the comments, because she can comment back for herself. And if you have a question for me, I can comment back for myself, or if it's just a general question. Uh, and just, guys, continue to stay tuned. We don't entirely know where God's taking this. We're a little bit along for the ride. Lauren and I have some what we feel are amazing ideas for the future and things, some cutting edge stuff to deal with this style of ministry. But it's important to allow God to move first and open the doors.
If we're still breathing, God's not done.
That's right.
So you'll be seeing more of us. And
yeah. And Lauren's my brake pedal. So, because most of you guys who know me know that I don't let off the gas pedal, which is sometimes crazy. So it is what it is. But Lauren's my brake pedal. So I found a good brake pedal, and we're gonna let God move on this and stuff. So
God's gonna work it out for us, because I don't even know how it was possible for us to do the first mission trip. I mean, I can't. Yeah. I really am kind of excited now to see where God is going to take this, because this is not us. This is not the Jason and Lauren duo going out to do things. I mean, we're just being obedient, and the Lord has placed something on our hearts, and we're acting on it. We have to do the footwork, but God's really doing all of it. It's not us. It's God's really moving and doing all of it. We're just the vessels He seems to be using.
Strange, right? Strange, really strange.
He's using us, and that's okay. I'm great with being used, but he's done a great thing for me and for Jason in our lives, and the least we can do is be obedient to what He has for us. So
yeah,
I'm hoping.
So
I'm hoping there isn't any machetes in the next one. Yeah, that's all I'm praying for, is because that was a little.
No more run-ins.
That was test of the faith right there. That was a test of the faith.
The machete was definitely a test of the faith. Yeah. I mean, and I get it, so I don't know. But hey, guys, Highland Park, Detroit, we're looking at that. We want you guys to be praying about that. We're looking at Kalamazoo. Heartland, the Heartland area of Grand Rapids has a big unsheltered issue.
Port Huron.
They closed their shelter in Port Huron. And currently don't have a solution. So that's an issue. So you guys be praying with Lauren and I that God points us to the next city, the next county, the next town that needs some blessing bags, and the people who need a good, strong dose of the love of Jesus Christ, because we want to give it. Right?
Right.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.